And we are the Sonic Boomers. And this is Sonic Boomers program number 86. And each episode we talk about, well, whatever we pull off the top of our heads.
And sometimes that is someplace else.
And very often, straight from the heart.
Sonic Boomers is now in its third year of production.
And you can watch us on Facebook and on YouTube.
Or you can listen in your car on 10 different platforms, including Spotify,
Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts,
Amazon Podcasts, and iHeart Podcast, and Anchor FM.
And if you have a smart speaker, just tell it to play the Sonic Boomers podcast.
And you can always email us at our latest and newest email address, thesonicboomers@aol.com.
Yes, we are the last two people that are on AOL.
Well, you are.
That's why my personal email is also on AOL, but yours is not. Yeah. And, you know, Facebook really is the biggest platform for our show. That's where we get the most hits out of everything.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, a friend of mine said, Chris Rodriguez, coach, said, well, you know, Facebook is a good platform for baby boomers because you guys have come in and taken it over from the people that are really cool, so we've moved on. You know, he said to me, what's next, MySpace? You're going to be on MySpace? Right. Is there even a MySpace anymore?
I don't know. I one time I tried to look to see if there was, and I couldn't remember what my sign-on even was, so I couldn't tell.
What was the big thing before AOL? Oh, Prodigy. Remember Prodigy?
Kind of, yeah.
We had that before we had AOL.
Well, I don't know. You're going way back in time now.
On this edition of the Sonic Boomers, program number 86, Maureen and I have entitled this one, The Life-Giving Lights. We're talking about holiday lights. And I don't know about you, I can't get enough of them.
Oh, I really enjoy this time of year going around looking at the people's houses all decorated. It's really lovely.
I think that in the last, what would you say, 5 or 10 years is where we've really seen people going all out on not just on Christmas lights, but now somebody had a big Thanksgiving, an inflatable Thanksgiving turkey in front of their house for Thanksgiving. People put up lights for St. Patrick's Day. I know we do now.
Yes.
And now that I found out that I'm really Irish and not Italian, now it became important to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And if you want to know more about what that's all about, you can go back to our episode about DNA. What was the name of that episode?
I'm not sure.
Ancestry.com or Ancestry DNA. If you look for that episode in the back episodes, that whole thing, I'll tell you about what that's about.
And of course, Halloween people decorate to the hilt.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, here in Madison Park. You guys are doing a great job on the holiday decorations because I like to go out and walk in the evening for my exercise.
So don't call the cops. He's that old guy walking around.
Yeah, if you see an old guy with glasses and a goatee and a mustache walking around, it's me. It's me. I'm just walking around getting my exercise and stopping to enjoy your Christmas decorations.
Now, you know, we've all kind of watched Christmas Vacation with the Griswolds,
yeah,
and the whole competition thing. Now, where do you stand on that on the competitions?
You know, as long as it's a friendly competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you.
You don't want somebody stealing somebody else's bulbs. You know, hey, put some bad bulbs in my lights.
Yeah. It's I know, like right here in Madison Park, there's a little contest going on, and you could vote for your favorite.
Yeah, I think house. It's a friendly contest.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anybody running down the street with a string of lights and laughing, you know, or somebody's blow up Santa Claus or something.
Yeah,
you know?
I just like it to be reflective of the spirit of Christmas. You know, that it should be all in good spirits and good, you know, camaraderie. I don't want to see it get to the point where the competition becomes the thing and not the joy.
Yeah. And, you know, I was walking around the neighborhood and I saw some folks out there putting up their Christmas decorations and some of them laboring quite hard at it.
Crazy.
And I was thinking, are you enjoying this? Mm-hmm. You know, I really wanted to stop and ask them, but I didn't want somebody saying, well, who the hell are you? What are you,
Yeah.
Stop bothering me, crazy guy. But I was really wondering, are they enjoying it? Or is it, I've got to get up the Christmas lights. I've got to get up the Christmas lights. I got to be better than the guy across the street. You know, and how much of it is that there is a genuine joy into doing it?
Yeah, I think it's probably 50-50. I think there's probably a good portion of the people that really enjoy it, see it as a gift to the community. We have neighbors that, have Santa and Mrs. Claus out giving out candy canes and things.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they have set up spots for you to come and photograph your children in a sleigh, take pictures on their lawn with all the things. And I think for them, it is a joy, and they do enjoy it. They look forward to it. There's another house here that every single holiday, it's to the hilt. And I think that that's their thing, that's their passion. And I don't think that there's any resentment. But I think for some people, it's kind of like another thing on the Christmas to-do list of, decorate the house, get the candy, get the gifts, make sure the tree's up. I think for some people it does get to be that.
Yeah, I'm okay with the competition. Again, like I said, as long as it stays friendly. Mm-hmm. And there was one radio talk show host who will go unnamed, but he was kvetching the other day about all of these people that go overboard on the Christmas lights. And he's like, stop. We used to stop. Enough. So what is it with the lights? Stop already.
You can't go overboard on Christmas lights.
You cannot go overboard on Christmas lights. And I'm thinking, well, how is it bothering you?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, ignore it.
Yeah. You don't have to go out.
You have to go out and looking at it. But for me, I can tell you, when I walk around the neighborhood or when we drive around the neighborhood and we see a beautiful Christmas light display, it really is life-giving.
It is.
It lifts your heart. It lifts your spirits. It makes you happy.
And I find myself audibly going, oh,
yeah,
ooh, and it's just a very happy thing, and I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah. Competition is fine, kept friendly. I don't have a problem with, if you're running enough Christmas lights that JCP&L had to turn on another generator.
Too bad.
I'm okay with it.
I am too.
I think it's wonderful. But I'm wondering, when you and I were growing up, clearly we didn't have the kind of Christmas displays that we have today. For one, we actually had light bulbs.
Right.
Now it's all LEDs. Mm-hmm. And with the LEDs, you can really get some beautiful colors.
Yeah.
And I saw one Christmas display on YouTube. I forget where it was, but they had put LEDs up on these trees. Mm-hmm. And they were very close together, almost kind of like pixels on a TV screen.
Okay.
And they were able to create a face on each tree. And they put on a little skit. And one tree face is talking to the other.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then they're talking about, okay, let's turn the Christmas lights on. We'll do it together, okay? 1, 2, 3. And half the lights go on. And then a second later, the other half goes on. And the one tree says to the other, you're a little bit late on that one.
Oh, that's
should we try
cute.
again? And I was like amazed.
Yeah.
Now, somebody had to have a real knowledge of probably computer programming, how to make that work and record the tracks and everything.
Yeah.
So somebody probably started working on this the day after last Christmas.
So get on that, will you, Pete?
Yeah. We have a very modest display here, but I think it's nice.
It is. And, I envision us adding to it each year, like...
Maureen, translated, let me explain this to you. This is Maureen talk for next year. Pete will do even more work putting up the Christmas lights and hooking things up. That's the real speak on that.
Of course.
Which I'm fine with, actually.
I'm glad.
Well,
what I was thinking is that, some of our bushes are very small right now, and you really can't put lights on them. But I'm thinking in another year, maybe they're going to be that much taller. Maybe we're going to want to light them up. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, what we have this year is we have LED lights hanging in each window all across the front of the house, and 2 in the picture window in the front of the house. And they're bells and angels. So it's bell, angel, bell, angel, bell, angel.
Right.
And then we've got lights wrapped around the largest bush in our front yard. And then we've got some stick in the ground decorations. And we've got a string of lights going around the perimeter of our deck
With garland.
with garland.
And you forgot the snowman
Oh,
family.
the snow family. Yeah, we've got the snowman family out in front of our front steps featuring Little Frosty.
Yeah, little Frosty. He goes back to when our kids were little.
Yeah, I found him a few years ago. I think it was maybe when we were getting ready to move, or a little before. Actually, before. It was before, because we had him out at the old house for a few years. But I found him in the garage, and he was like tucked behind a whole bunch of stuff, and he needed a good cleaning. And I saw he tips his hat. He's tipping his hat, and he's got this smile, and he's really cute. And I saw it, and my heart just melted.
Yeah.
I said, let me fix this guy. Let me get him cleaned up. I just got a new rod to support the back because the old one was bent. So Frosty kept like tipping over. So that's all fixed. And this is going to sound really funny, but you know this
Yes.
because you've seen me. When I take him down at the end of the Christmas season,
I know you're sad.
I'm sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost get into tears when I take Frosty in. It's like,
poor old Frosty.
you know, and it makes me feel good to put him up.
Yeah.
And then we've got these 2, like what we call them, Snow Mom and Snow Dad. They're wooden cutouts of snowmen that we picked up from somebody was selling them online, right?
Right,
It
on
was-
one of the garage sale online or something.
yeah, I think she said her father made them.
Her father made them, and I think she was selling her house and moving and didn't want to take them, but it was really important to her that it go to somebody that was going to really care for them, and she was so happy that we picked them up. And she didn't ask much for them. I think we paid $25 for the 2 of them.
Yeah.
And, loaded them into the car, and we had them. Last year was our first Christmas here. That was the first time we had them. And then we put them out again this year. And what I really think is adorable is the male snowman has a beard.
Yes.
And it has like a furry fabric, fake fur thing cut out like a beard. And again, it makes me smile when I see it. It's really cute.
Yep. So we've got our little snowman family out there. And what were the Christmas decorations like when you were a little girl
In my house,
in your house?
my mother always was, wanted to be very tasteful. So we usually had a light up wreath at the front door. And we would usually have those candles, the light candles, not real candles, in each window
Okay.
of the front of the house. At some point, we had a manger that one of my parents' friends actually had made, and they gave it to us when we were little, and my father would put it out and adjacent to our front porch. It would stick out from the front porch, and he'd put a spotlight on it. But it was usually pretty simple like that. What about you?
Well, did you have a real Christmas tree in the house?
Oh yeah, real Christmas tree, definitely. And the funny thing is, my daughter was obsessing because she was so late in getting her tree up this year, and I was saying, in my day, almost everybody had real trees, and you didn't put them up until maybe a few days before Christmas. We have this artificial time bomb ticking in our heads that the day after Thanksgiving,
I gotta get the tree up. I gotta get the tree. It's like a snowstorm is coming and you need the bread and milk.
Yeah,
like Vic DiBattista says. Yeah,
Right,
I gotta get the
right.
bread and milk. I gotta get the bread and milk.
And there's really no need to rush it that much.
Although our tree did go up record early this year.
Well, I figured, what the heck? Why not?
Yeah.
We're in the house. We're doing nothing. Might as well put it up and enjoy it.
Thanksgiving was Thursday. That following Saturday, the tree was up.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
And we take it down. Like, when do you take it down?
I try to take it down
Little
after,
Christmas?
after the Epiphany. Yeah, because real Catholics believe Christmas goes for 10 days.
I think one
12
year,
days.
for some reason, you and I left the Christmas tree up almost until St. Patrick's Day.
Well, it
You
wasn't
remember
quite-
the one year
it
was up
wasn't
a
quite that
long
It was
time.
into February though.
Yeah.
We were sick. Well, the one year we were sick with the flu, and we were lucky to even get the tree up, and we just kind of struggled through that whole holiday thing. And then, another time we were just like swamped with things to do, and we just didn't feel like taking it down.
Yeah.
We left it up. But a couple of times we had real trees, and by the time we took them out, they looked like Charlie Brown's
They were
tree
brittle and
because all the leaves
snap and
all the
needles would fall
fall
into
off.
the carpeting. And,
Oh, it was a mess.
I like the smell of a real
I
tree
do
in the
too.
house,
I do
but
too.
I don't like the mess that it makes.
I don't like the mess.
And the price of the real trees too is like
They were
it's
getting
crazy.
kind of high, and I really like our artificial tree that we have. It looks very real, and what I like is that it's pre-lit, so you don't have to struggle with untangling, wires and
Yeah,
strings of
it's very
lights.
easy. It takes like 15 minutes to put it up. It's in 3 sections, and you don't even have to plug the wires in. They're interlocking.
Right, when you put the sections together,
Yeah,
they
you put one on
automatically
top
are
of the other on
connected,
top of the other, and it's already connected.
Yeah, so I mean that's been really nice. But what I did like with having a real tree though, is that your tree looks different every year. Doing
Yeah.
doing the shape of the tree, the height of the tree. Sometimes you get one that's kind of squatty and fat. Sometimes you get tall and slender, and you get long needles and short needles. And I kind of liked the variety that you get with a real tree.
When I was growing up, the outside of our house was very, very simple. We had a ranch house, and it was long. It was 52 feet from one end to the other, and was the old-fashioned screw-in bulbs.
Yeah.
Right. And my dad, who was already, when I was 10 years old, my dad was already 59. So he was no spring chicken. So he would go up on the ladder, and he would string up the lights across the front of the house from one side to the other. And invariably, at some time in the evening when the lights were on, my mother would look at the lights and say, "Hon, there's three bulbs out up there. I need you to get the ladder and go out and fix here's some bulbs here. Put these bulbs in." And of course, Dad loved doing that.
Well, and those old bulbs,
And they were
didn't last
always
long.
burning out. You
Yeah.
would put in 3 new bulbs, and like 4 days later, 2 more bulbs would be out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and then you
now-
had some that never replaced.
If you take care of the strings now with the LEDs, they'll last forever.
Pretty much, yeah. Except for the ones on our bush this year.
Yeah, we had one set that we put on our bush, and we had a storm, and they got ruined, and we had to order another set.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Don't know
but-
what happened. Half of them stopped working.
Yeah. And you went through and you tested them and you tried to wiggle them and stuff.
Couldn't make it
Nothing.
work.
Couldn't make it work.
So we replaced that. As far as and my mother also had these candles. It kind of looked like a menorah. But they were Christmas lights, and my mother you would screw these little bulbs in that
Yeah,
looked
that's
like
what we
flames, and she would have them like in the windows.
That's what we had too.
And I think sometimes my father would also wrap, because we had these big evergreens in front of the house. My father would wrap the lights around the evergreens. But I remember replacing bulbs was always like
Of course,
the
yeah.
bane of my father's existence. And in the house, we had the silver artificial Christmas tree.
Now, did you have the color wheel
We
that went on
did.
it?
Yes. Now, I look at pictures of that Christmas tree today, and there's a part of me that my heart goes bump, 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 because it's my childhood. But there's another part of me that says, what? What were they because it's a stick.
Yeah.
It's a wooden pole, and they would drill holes in it, and then you would stick these branches into and then with time, of course, the holes would get bigger and bigger, and the tree would be like, it would start to droop, and sooner or later you had to replace the tree. But we had the silver, because remember they had the white ones, and they had green and silver ones,
Right.
and my mother wanted silver, and yeah, we had the color wheel, and we also had a base that it plugged into, and you turned the base on, and it would spin the tree slowly, and it
Okay.
played Jingle Bells.
Wow. Oh,
That was Christmas
That
in
was
the Torriello
Christmas.
house.
I'll tell you, talk about the artificial trees with putting the branches in. Years ago, my grandparents, my Uncle Bud bought my grandparents an artificial tree because it was getting too much for them to put up the real tree and everything. First year, this tree was gorgeous. Oh, it was a beautiful, thick, bushy tree. Looked real, looked wonderful. But after that, the way you put it together was the tips of each branch were color-coded so that you, like, because they were different sizes.
I think we had a tree like that here too once.
And in time, the color codes start wearing off.
Yeah.
And my grandfather would stick it in. Well, after a while, the tree looked like, who did it?
Long
ran.
branch, short branch,
Yeah.
big branch up here.
It looked like, and you couldn't tell them.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Are there any, like in our travels around the neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
here, are there any Christmas displays that really stand out in your mind?
Well, I don't know the addresses or anything, but there's three, the trifecta of Madison Park. There's one on Clemson, there's one on Yale, and there's one on Bordentown.
Right.
That do it to the max.
To the max.
And
In
it's
fact, the
a
one
ton
on
of stuff.
Bordentown is the one that's on the promo,
On the
that I
promo.
recorded for this show.
Right. And those are must sees.
Yeah.
Must see TV, must see
Decorations.
Christmas lights. But that being said, and I enjoy them, believe me, I look for them. But there's also something to be said for the houses that have just a very tasteful, maybe minimal look, but very coordinated. I like symmetry. I like to see it look planned out, with just a few well-placed items. And I don't know any addresses offhand to say, but I do
ours.
like those. But I do like those as well.
I think some of the issue is not everybody has the budget to put on a spectacular holiday display. A lot of folks are older, and so it becomes
Difficult.
much more difficult for
Sure.
them to go out and deal with it. And so there's some people who just don't want to be bothered.
Right.
They just throw a couple of things up in the window and for show, and that's it. But whether it's a big display or whether it's just a little display with a few lights and maybe a few things in the window, it's all good.
It's all good. Now, did you go around looking at Christmas lights when you were little?
Not really.
No?
I don't. Trying to remember. If we did, we didn't do it a lot.
Yeah.
I know we did when our kids were little because it was
Yeah.
a good way to get them to fall asleep. We'd put them in the back of the car and and they would watch the Christmas lights and ooh and ah.
Yeah.
And then after about 20 minutes, they'd be out cold.
But I remember when I was little, we couldn't wait for the Christmas lights to come on.
Yeah.
And I really believed him at the time. But Thanksgiving, we'd be all together at my grandmother's house. And we'd be getting ready to go. And my grandfather, he was a frequent flyer at this tavern over in Orange, or East Orange. And he would call up Healy's, was the name of the tavern. And he'd get on the phone and he'd be like, my granddaughter's coming over, going to be riding around. Put on the lights for her, will you? I didn't know that the town always lit their lights the day of Thanksgiving. That was the first day that the lights went on.
Yeah.
And we'd go over and we'd drive down Main Street in Orange, and you'd go through the shopping areas, and all the lights they had them strung across the street, and you'd drive through. And I thought my grandfather was, the guy.
He's got some pull.
Thank God he called them,
I saw one display. In fact, I think I've seen it twice now here in our community, where they have an inflatable Christmas decoration, and it's got Ralphie from the Christmas Story on it.
Yes.
In the bunny pajamas.
Bunny pajamas, yeah.
I saw two of those. Somebody in the neighborhood has these little penguins
Oh, I love
that
the
light
penguins.
up, and
I want
want
penguins.
I got to go to the Christmas light store and see if they have the penguins, because Maureen and I were looking at it and we were like, "Oh, we love the penguins.
They're
the penguins are
cute.
so cute. Get us some penguins."
They'd go along good with the snowmen,
Yeah, what we really need, because those of you who know Maureen and I personally know that we are crazy about koalas.
Yeah,
They should have some koalas
they should.
that we can put out there in little snowsuits or mittens or something.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw one last night when I was walking around, and it was a snowman, and he was holding a digital display, and it said days till Christmas, and it had the numbers
Oh,
in
that's
a
nice.
digital display counting
Wow.
down the date of Christmas.
We got to look into some of this stuff. This is really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Next year, folks.
More stuff for me to put up. So we hope that you're enjoying your Christmas season so far. And we hope that Santa is real good to you. Maureen and I think, have decided that we're not going to exchange presents this year because she'll tell you, I'm present enough for her. And Maureen under my Christmas tree is really all that I need too.
Aw.
But and plus we decided that we'll probably do something for the house at this point. We're big into doing something for the house maybe
Maybe.
in the spring. It'll be Christmas in the spring at the Torriello house.
So, time for some trivia?
It's time for trivia. Okay,
Is that time?
I've got your question all picked out
All
here.
right, you go ahead. You go first. this
Okay,
time.
I'm going to make it easy for you. In the spirit of the holidays, I'm going to make it easy for
Well, I
you.
should make yours hard.
In the spirit of the holidays. Who portrayed Tony Nelson, Genie's astronaut friend? And I think there was more than friendship going on there, if you ask me.
If you ask you. Oh, and I know it, and I can't think of his name. The guy from Dallas.
Dun, 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 dun,
The guy that played JR. What's his name? I can't think.
It was Mary Martin's son.
Doesn't
That
help.
doesn't help you. Remember Mary Martin from Peter Pan?
Yeah,
It
but
was
doesn't
her
help.
son.
I know. I have his face. I know he's the guy from Dallas.
Oh, man.
I'm not good
Man,
at names.
Larry Hagman.
Hagman.
Larry Hagman. Okay,
All right.
hit me.
All right. What ABC comedy anthology series marked its debut in the fall of 1969?
ABC Comedy Anthology Series. Wow.
This is in the TV category.
Yeah, I know. And all that I'm getting is a test pattern. Just boo, and the test pattern. 1969. And it was a comedy
Anthology.
anthology. So
Think of something that had multi parts in it. You watched it, I'm sure.
wow. I have no clue.
Love American Style.
Oh, love American style. Truer than the red, white, and blue. Who sang the theme song?
Cowsills?
The Cowsills, and then they were replaced by, I think, the Sydney Fox Singers or something like that.
You got me.
Yeah, yeah. They I think
Yeah,
they used the
I couldn't
Cowsills
remember
for the
Larry
first
Hagman.
season or
You
two.
think I know Cindy Fox? Jeez, Pete.
Hey, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Sonic Boomers podcast. And I don't know if we're going to do one next week or not. Next week is Christmas week. So depending upon how busy we are, we may or may not do a podcast. So keep checking back in. By the way, not only is this program number 86, but this is also the first show of the third season
Okay.
of the Sonic Boomers. December 8th was the day that we launched this podcast as Mixing It Up with Pete and Maureen, and then we changed the name to Sonic Boomers. So we want to thank all 5 of you who have become regular listeners or viewers, and especially my brother from another mother, Ed Popolarski, who's out there in Washington State. Hope you're doing okay out there, Ed. I know you've had some wild weather out there. Eddie and I grew up together, and he was a supporter of this podcast from day one, frequent listener, and even gave us the name for the original podcast.
Yeah.
And, of course, Bruce
Bruce Peterson.
Peterson is another frequent flyer on the show, our dear friend of many years Joe Caroselli, my former colleague Chris Quimby, another big follower of the
You're going to
show.
start hurting people's feelings by naming too many names.
If I didn't mention your name, I'm sorry, but those are the ones that immediately come to mind. And at my age, it's really unreasonable to expect me to remember anything more. So we will see you next time. If we're not here next week, do Maureen and I a favor and have yourself a very Merry Christmas. And one other thing you need to do, go out and make some noise.